Hello, I'm Keyoka, the awkward black nomad. I'm a writer, I'm a dog mom, and I travel solo. I have been to 10 countries with my two dogs, and this channel is for me to talk about my experiences. But I also bring other black travelers on the channel to talk about their experiences traveling and living abroad. If that sounds like something you are interested in, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I go live. Because I have no rhyme or reason to my content calendar. I don't plan when I go live. So it could be any time, right? It could be any time. So just make sure that you are clicking the notification button so you know and you can join the live and you can ask questions. So we have an amazing guest today. I'm going to bring him up. Hi, not me. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. Could you tell the
Excited.
people a little bit about who you are?
Sure. My name's Phillip White. I currently live in Dallas, Texas. I've been here probably for 10 years, but I'm Texas born and raised. Like when I say I'm Texas born and raised, like Lubbock, Texas is where I was born, all the way in the West, and then grew up in a small town called Longview, Texas, all the way on the east side of Texas. I moved here at the age of 30, and so 30 was a big pivotal age for me. It was a lot of self-discovery and coming out of the closet at the age of 30, and so Dallas was like a fresh new start for me, like a brand new life, and so I moved here for work. I'm in the oil and gas industry. A lot of people may not know that about me because they see my Instagram and they probably think, oh, wow, he's just gallivanting all over the world. I do, but I also have a job.
Oh, and
I
we love to
am an
see it.
yeah, environmental and regulatory analyst. And so I have a big boy job, and it's very opposite of my personality, but it pays the bills plus some. So
I don't know. I just heard dollar signs like cha-ching, cha-ching, like as you were speaking. So, like, now,
I
Philip,
highly recommend the oil and gas industry if that's your thing.
this is a kind of a momentous day because you are the first man that I've had on the channel.
Oh wow, that okay, I'm
This is
honored.
big. This is an honor. This is an honor. I don't know if you know that this is an honor, but this is a huge honor, okay?
I know, like that's so exciting, and I guess when I think about your page, you're right. I haven't seen any other men on the page, so wow, this it's a lot of pressure, but it's exciting.
No, and I think I think that you being the first man on the channel is a great way to kind of open up the space because for me as a black woman it's been my priority to keep a safe space. Like I wanted my channel and my Instagram page to kind of like be a hub for black women to feel like comfortable like communicating and sharing their stories. But I also think that like being in the travel space and talking specifically to Black Americans, we may be remiss not to allow everyone onto the page, right? Within moderation, obviously, keeping in mind that this is a safe space, this is a sacred space. Um, but I want my channel to be a place where we can talk about diverse experiences, where everybody can come on and share their love of travel. And so, welcome. I'm so happy you agreed to be on my channel. I just wanted to say that first. And let's
Thank
hop
you,
in.
thank you for having me. I'm happy to be able to be on your platform to share my story because you never know who's watching and you
Yes.
never know who's inspired to just hop on a flight and go somewhere by themselves.
Yes, and we talked a little bit before jumping on the live, and you have kind of a phenomenal story. So you talked a little bit about moving to Texas. No, sorry, wait, no, moving to Texas at the age of 30, and actually
Or
coming
Dallas.
out
Yeah, I moved to Dallas at
Dallas,
the age of 30.
and
Hmm.
actually coming out, and that's pretty late in life to come out. 30?
Yeah, Yeah, I am what they call, I guess, maybe one of those late bloomers.
Okay.
But it's worked in my favor, honestly. You're never too old to come out of the closet if that's something that you need to do. It was a momentous thing for me and a very pivotal moment in my life. And so it helped me kind of just shed off some layers that needed to be shed, so I could be the version of myself that you see today. So it was very important.
Yeah, and we love it. Everybody watching, if you could like the video and also drop down in the comments. Listen, Black folk, we speak when we come into the room. Esther has
Yes,
her
say
mind
hi.
right. Hello from London. We will get into this,
Hi.
but Philip and I were talking about how London is the city for
Mhm.
us. We need,
It is.
Esther, if you know any available men who are willing to snatch up these beautiful Americans, okay, sponsor
Please, please
somebody's
do.
visa. Send them our way, girl. But so when did you first start traveling solo?
I would say I did a little bit of traveling solo for work. I remember when I got my first job here in Dallas, I was going to like Michigan, Wyoming, and Denver a lot. So those work trips, because it was work, it's kind of easier to travel solo. But I would say I more so got into wanting to do solo trips just to kind of escape the hustle and bustle of Dallas. And so I would go to California a lot. I would hop to Miami, Vegas, those kind of things. And then I was like, you know what? One of these days I'm going to do a solo international trip. So.
Yes. Do you feel like going places alone domestically really kind of set that groundwork for you to be able to travel internationally alone?
I think so, because it gets you in the practice of, going out to eat by yourself if you feel like it. It gets you in the habit of like talking to people. But I would say I think I'm good at it because I'm also an only child. And so for me, like me getting out and socializing with people, I love that. And then I love coming home and just being quiet and silent. So I am the yin and the yang. I'm both introvert, extrovert. So solo travel doesn't bother me per se because I'm so used to wanting my own space and being in my own space too sometimes.
Mm. I feel like only children are like the blueprint of like because a lot of travelers that I've met are only children and they're also from New York. I wonder if there's
Oh,
like a
interesting.
it's very
Yeah,
interesting. Or they not just New York, but they come from like bigger cities, so they're able to kind of like navigate the world and being by themselves in a different kind of way. Oh, we have a lot of
sure.
people joining us. Hi, everybody. If you have any
Hi.
questions for Philip, please put a Q in front of your question so I see it. But I'll go through. Hi, Izzy. Hey, Philip. Hello
Oh,
from
hey, Izzy.
Dallas. We know Izzy.
Yes,
Hi,
yes, Izzy's one of my really good friends. Love him so much.
Izzy.
He's
Yay.
he is a flight attendant, so he has some travel stories and yeah.
A jet setter. We love a jet setter.
He's a jet
Redefining
setter.
hustle collective. Good afternoon. My name is Kim. Looking forward to discussion. Hi, Kim.
Nice.
Ayana. Hola. Hola, Ayana.
Hola, Ayana. All the way from Barcelona.
Is that how you say it? Barcelona?
They
Hi
just put
from
a little T in
Mississippi.
there, but you know.
A little something, something. Um,
Oh,
so
that's Karina. That's my
you know Karina?
cousin.
Oh,
That's my travel
hi,
buddy.
cousin. Hey,
When you see me in
cousin.
Italy, I'm with Karina.
Oh, lovely. It's always
Yeah.
nice to travel with family. I haven't experienced it, but I want to.
You should. I highly recommend doing it with just like one family member that gets you and understands how you like to do things. And if they like to do things differently, it's okay if you don't do them together. Like it's important.
Yeah, I always think, I mean, because I think when people go on group trips, there's that pressure to always be with the group, but
Yes.
feel empowered to do your own thing.
Please, you have to, like, at
Please.
least, take a couple of hours to yourself for.
Yes. Yes. I remember I was in London and I had a friend come to stay to visit for a couple of weeks, and I was like, girl, this is gonna be a day that you tackle by yourself. Like, because I don't know I don't know if we could do it together. Like,
Yes,
we
I
spending a lot
understand.
of time together. We are spending like there are only 7 days of the week. I've seen you for six of them. That's a lot.
We just need a little time, a little time.
Just a smidgen. So, when you initially started traveling, did you have any, I guess, fear or anxiety? Because you seem pretty outgoing to me. You mentioned being an introvert extrovert, but I feel like
Yeah. Are you ready to be gagged?
what?
Um, so I actually, very few people know this. I'm actually scared of flying. And I just do it because it's like, well, how else are you going to get there? But I am a very nervous flyer. Definitely, it's one of those things where you're just kind of out of control. And I learned I am a control freak. So, um, for me, I have to get on the plane just because I'm like, how else are you going to get there? And when you get there, it's going to be amazing and fun. But yeah, I'm just not the best at flying. And I can't even tell you how many flights I've been on. But thankfully, I haven't been on any that were like so horrible to make me not do it. But
Hmm.
I've been through some turbulence, so I can kind of like just when it happens now, I'm like, oh, you've been through worse. It's fine.
So then, what does your preparation look like, knowing that you have this fear?
For me, definitely, I'm that anxious person, so I am definitely making sure I pick my seat on the plane. I am one of the travelers that can't do the random seat selection. I'm sorry, that's not me. um, Preferably, I like to sit towards the wing or first class if I can, but international, I have not done that yet, so I need to push the button on that pretty soon. But yeah,
You
put me near the
must.
wing.
You must do. I flew business coming back from Albania. Um,
Uh,
I deserve it. I deserve it. Like
yes,
the
yes, yes,
feeling, that
you
that
do.
feeling, like sitting in that seat and just
Oh yeah.
this is
Yeah, and I just
rough.
know me. Once I do it, I'm just not going to be able to go to the back again internationally.
That's what I'm. That's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about because I have a trip
Mhm.
coming up. I'm going to China in July, and I'm like, the Lord will provide. Okay, we're
He
gonna
will.
figure.
He will provide.
I don't got it
You will
right
be in the
now.
front of that plane.
I need to. I think it's my place. I think that's where I
Yeah,
belong, okay?
I understand. Me too.
So those long flights, like anything over maybe 7 hours, I'm just like I couldn't possibly be back here with everyone. Even though I've only flown first class once. And I'm like,
It's hard. It's
how do I
hard.
manage?
Yeah, and
No.
I've done two 17-hour flights direct in economy. Yeah, it's
Going where? This is when you were in Africa?
well, I guess yeah, my very first big solo international trip was to Sydney, Australia, and it was a direct flight from Dallas, and I remember being so freaking scared. Because it was like, man, I've never been on a plane direct, like for a straight amount of time longer than maybe 12 hours.
Mm.
And so, yeah, the 17-hour flight was definitely scary. Once I got on there, I calmed down and just started watching movies. But like, I'm like, this is crazy because like you're going over the Pacific side. There's no Wi-Fi. There was, well, at least at the time when I was, I think this was 2016 or 7. I think it's 2017. There was no Wi-Fi, so it literally was like entertain yourself and watch movies and eat. And but surprisingly, the 17 hours went by really quickly. So,
Really? So
hmm
then for longer flights, do you have any tips? Like, do you get up and walk? Do you sedate yourself? Don't admit to that.
I
But
don't sedate myself because that would, I mean, I probably should. I probably should take a Xanax or something. But no, for me, I definitely like wear compression socks, get up and walk around, drink a lot of water. I know everybody loves their alcohol and champagne, so do I, but definitely drink some water and yeah, for me, it's like I'll end up watching movies that I haven't seen before, and so that's kind of a good distraction for me until I fall asleep.
yeah.
And another good tip actually is to travel off season, so there might be more seats that are empty on the plane. So I got really lucky. I had like two seats empty next to me on that flight to Australia, so I was able to stretch out a little bit. So.
Now something I'm curious about, and so I've heard things about Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as we do, right, in the travel space. I've heard that Australia is one of those places that isn't very hospitable to Black travelers. Since you've been
hmm
there, what is your perception? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt uncomfortable while there?
no, actually, I don't remember having any problem, but I do remember when I was taking the ferry from my Airbnb back to like the city center. I
Mm,
remember meeting some people, and I mean, a black person in Sydney, Australia, you're going to be looked at. And so I remember talking to a couple of Aussies, and they were like, yeah, Sydney's not the friendliest to people. They're like, you should probably try Melbourne. And I was like, that's interesting because I haven't personally had any issues. But yeah, even some of the people that live in Sydney are like, yeah, people in Melbourne are just much nicer. So I don't have that comparison, but I loved it so much that I want to go back. So I want to, maybe fly into Sydney and then hop over to Melbourne and do something else. So
mm,
I didn't have any issues. Matter of fact, I made some really good friends in Sydney when I took a tour to the Blue Mountains, which was super inspiring. It's a place where like artists and creatives and writers go. And so I got super inspired and made some really good friends. And I remember um, meeting one of the girls from the UK, and now I look at her story on Instagram, she just had a baby. So it's incredible that I got to kind of like, see her when she was single girl and dating, and now she's having a baby. So that's really incredible to see that kind of blossom.
yeah. I mean, 2016, that was almost 10 years ago. That's insane.
It was, yeah, and
Wow.
that was my first trip by myself. Yeah, it wasn't my first international trip. My first international trip was actually Thailand and Dubai, and I went with three other people, and so that was my first passport, first stamps on the passport, and that that feeling of being in Thailand was like, I'm gonna do this again, and no shade, I'm gonna do the next one by myself, and so that's how Australia Australia got there.
That you just gave a lot. You gave a lot in that sentence.
I did.
No shade. I'm gonna do the next one by myself. You guys are great, but
I love you.
And you have a lot of love in the comment section. Amanda says hi from Dallas. Philip is the most well-traveled person I know. High
Hi, Amanda.
praise.
Yeah, that's my friend.
Hi. And Izzy again, I'm a private flight attendant. Private. Private.
Yes, yes. I didn't want to give his business away, but yes.
Philip still puts me on to so many new destinations and gives me many travel tips. It's not even funny. Kyoko, you are a gem right now on your channel. Thank you. I like to think so too. Thank you so much.
You are a gem. You are a
Thank
gem.
you. Um, so I totally lost my train of thought. So we were talking about going to Thailand, going to
Mm,
Dubai, Australia. But I did want to touch on this, and we can hop back into it later on. But so in my experience, and I've talked to a lot of people. I've been to a few countries, but I've talked to people who have been around, and I feel like there are certain countries that kind of get that red flag, right? Like, don't come here if you're black because the people aren't friendly. And I mean, you've been to those places. You've been to Italy. You've been to, like I said, Australia. I can't think of another one that has like that same stigma. But oh,
mm,
something else I was interested about. So like, um, in you've been to Tanzania and Kenya, which
mhm,
we know that African countries tend to not be okay with their legislation with gay people. We've heard a lot of
mhm.
horror stories. So, I mean, how do you approach going to these countries that are perceived to be unsafe, that are perceived to give Black people kind of a bad experience there?
Sure. Yeah, as far as like Kenya and Tanzania, that was actually a group trip, so there was safety in numbers. But yeah, I personally do not like to go to places where there's legislation that doesn't like people like me. So I'm like, if you were not LGBTQ plus friendly, I really don't want to be there. But I did not have any bad experience. Plus, I had that group experience, so I was fine. I would say that very first flight where we had a layover in Dubai on the way to Thailand, I was scared. I was definitely scared, because you hear about the Middle East and some of the things that they do, and it's just like, oh man, I gotta go there and I've gotta
Yeah.
like put myself back in the closet, and I don't like to be put back in the closet. So, I think Dubai is fine. It's just not going to be one of those places that I want to stay for longer than 24 hours. I'm just like, I don't want to risk not being myself or acting up. And then I'm like, I know how to go and behave. It's just, why deny yourself? Um, so I'm like, I don't have to necessarily give them my money. But I thought it was a cool place, though. I thought it was great. And if you want to go, I would say probably go to Dubai and then just lay low, keep it cool and just enjoy the things that they have to offer. So like for me, we were talking about being a little bougie earlier. I actually love Middle Eastern airlines, like Emirates is amazing. And so I'm sorry, the UAE has really great service and I love to be catered to. So if I'm feeling like I just need to be catered to, I might go back to Dubai and just, because it's a level of hospitality. It's like you don't have to go in there thinking, "Oh, I'm gay" right away. Like they're just welcoming you and they're very very hospitable, but just be respectful and know the rules before you go. I even remember like when we landed, I remember the call to prayer came on and I was in the bathroom and I was like, I didn't read this in my book. I didn't read this. I didn't research this. So I just stayed in the bathroom until it was over. Um, I had I had no clue what to do. I was like, "Am
You're
I
like,
supposed to sit?"
can we move? Are we supposed?
Yeah, I was like, "What are we doing?" And I was with my friend too, and I was like, "I'm just gonna stay in here until it's over," because I didn't look that up. So definitely do a little research before you go.
The Khadijah says the wildest part about Dubai is that there are many men who are secretly in the closet, yet their culture shuns it. Very sad. I love Emirates. Hey
Correct.
Angela. Yeah, I
Hi.
mean, I think a lot of I think a lot of conservative countries have that sort of culture where people can't just be themselves.
Yeah.
Our country makes it a little difficult for people to be themselves sometimes, but
It
I
it
do,
it
yeah,
can be. It can be.
yeah. Um, Okay, so definitely do your research. I feel like I've also heard some stories about Dubai specifically because I know there's a lot of teachers who go there, and if you're like out in the international streets dipping it and doing it, and you think you're just gonna like go to Dubai and it's gonna be like Real
Hmm.
Housewives of Dubai, like it's still
Hmm.
a very conservative culture and you don't have
Be
the
very careful.
coin. Be very careful because you don't have the coin that allows you the freedom that you may have if you were wealthy, you know?
Yes, and that's one of the things that Izzy was telling me that he heard, like being gay there, like if you have the money, those people are protected and fine, but you as a tourist may not be. So just
Exactly.
just be careful.
And I'm even thinking of, I recently reviewed Young, Famous, and African on my channel. And so,
Mm,
we're not going to give nobody a crown if they haven't crowned themselves. But there's a gentleman on that show who I believe, and I have no authority, but who I believe is one of the people. And
hmm.
he is basically allowed to be himself. Like wears nail polish, lipstick, like is the best dressed on the cast, but
Yeah.
no one brings it up. No one says anything, and it's almost like I don't know if he's in the closet or not. It's like it's kind of
Hmm.
like if you have access, like being a TV star, being wealthy, you can live your life, but we don't want to hear about it. Just don't,
Yeah.
we don't want to, we're not going to arrest you, but we don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I in 2018 I did my 23andMe, and so I discovered that I am Nigerian. Like I have like over 70% Nigerian West African in my
That's really
DNA.
high.
And it's
That's very
like
high for an
I
American.
would love to go and go to, but I'm like I'm gonna have to go with somebody very well connected and very rich because I'm not going there by myself. So
You should anyway.
well, I should. I can report back.
No, I want to get that done, get my DNA done. I think like being
Yeah,
visiting Africa really puts it into perspective when you're a Black American to like
it does.
I don't know, like I never felt a connection towards Africa. As strange as it may sound to people. But I didn't
Yeah,
feel like, "Oh, I'm from there." Right? Oh, my ancestors are from there. It's like something you know in your mind, but you don't really have that tie to it. So,
I think
visiting
that's the
Africa,
lived
yeah,
African American experience is where that tie is kind of removed from you because you don't even know your native tongue.
yeah,
You we were brought here to this. Our ancestors were brought here to this country, and so we don't have sometimes that connection to our roots and to, I always call it Mother Africa. So, but I think we all should return to Mother Africa at least once in our lifetime. So you
definitely.
can see, because I grew up where my mom always thought like, oh, it's horrible, it's horrible, it's horrible. And I'm like, no, in Kenya, I saw some very luxurious things and it's not all poor. Like, no, there's life that goes on that is very what we would Americans call normal that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, and if you go to South Africa, it's just like being in the US, pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty much. Um, Esther says, I worked in Dubai for a year and was surprised to find out some of my colleagues were gay. It seems to be an open secret, which is a shame because they are missing out on so much.
I know. It's so
Yeah.
sad. And it's like, I grew up so closeted that I understand that need for protection and not being your full self, but it's also miserable.
Mm.
So, I really hope that in the future they can get some of those laws kind of like taken away. Especially in Africa. I'm like, come on, y'all, like take it away.
No, but there are Africans who live in the West who still think that homosexuality is a Western idea. Like, I've had conversations with grown ass people who are like, there were no gay people in Africa. That's something that the whites brought. I'm like, girl,
No,
educate
mm-mm.
yourself. But if
No,
that's someone who's had exposure to Western culture and they're still saying things like that, there's a ways to go. There's a ways to
yeah.
go.
There's a ways to go. I'm hopeful, but we'll see. Even how things are happening here in this country, I didn't think we would be, trying to repeal some people's rights and stuff. But I'm like, here we are. It's 2025, so.
Right, but it feels like 1968. Like,
Yes, I know. So yeah, definitely we have to stay engaged with politics as much as I don't like to be, but when it comes to people's freedoms, I'm like, I will be as political as I need to be, and I will stand up for my community because I'm not going back in the closet. So I don't think anybody else should have to either.
definitely. And even like you being on this platform and sharing your story, I feel like is going to help someone. And even
Yeah.
like, even someone maybe they're watching this and they have a family member or they have a friend who is in the closet or doesn't feel comfortable. Hopefully, they can send this video to them. Wink, wink, y'all.
Yes,
And
send
you
the
can help
video.
somebody. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I promise you, it is so much better on the other side when you shed some of those layers that need to get off. I mean, you're gonna feel so much better, and it's amazing how much I've accomplished after coming out of the closet. I accomplished a lot before that I'm still very proud of, but like once I was out of the closet and I just became myself, like of course, I'm gallivanting all over the world and meeting people and having fun and dipping and doing it, that kind of thing. I'm like, of course, this is what I dreamed of when I was a kid.
Yeah. Izzy says amen to that.
Yes.
Um, so we talked a little bit about countries that are perceived to be uncomfortable that you didn't find uncomfortable, which goes
Yeah,
to show you that you need to go out into the world and see for yourself. You know, I
absolutely.
think 100%. I think in the US, especially, there's a lot of like fear mongering and like propaganda about like what foreign countries are like, to where not just Africa, but like any country is sort of looked at like it's beneath us or it will be unkind for us to go there. And that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I'll give you some tea right now. The only time I've ever been called the N-word is in the US. So, yeah, I have
Well,
never been called the N word any of my international trips ever, but I can give you several instances. Texas, Michigan. Yeah, I have been called the N word. And so people's, experiences of racism, it's all different. But yeah, I've really experienced the most racism in the US where I live. So.
wow. Wow. And we have Esther. If you have not read it already, Philip, I would recommend reading Love offers no safety. Nigerian queer men speak. Ooh, that sounds really
Oh, that
good.
would be a good book for me to read. Yeah, I need to do that because I plan on going to
I may
Nigeria
read
one
that.
day. Like I said, I'm gonna make that happen.
You might catch a Nigerian. I don't know. Listen, I think
You
everybody
never know.
should experience that heartache. Um,
Not heartache.
you see, my edges are barely hanging on. Um, anyways, Dracaris to the entire west of Africa. But anyways, so we talked a little bit about sort of like perceived unfriendly destinations. Could you talk a little bit more about places that maybe you were surprised were so LGBTQIA friendly, or just like more welcoming to you as a
Sure.
black person?
Yeah. I think the big one, because I know we connected about Italy, and November I just got back from my second trip to Italy, and I know that you were telling me that I hear so many stories about Black people visiting Italy that didn't have a great time. And I can only speak from my experience. I had an amazing time. My first trip to Italy was 2021, and it was during COVID, and I went like November, so again, it was off peak season. But that's when I got to like really experience true local culture. And I loved like Rome is very gay friendly. They have gay bars that are right next to the Colosseum. I was like, oh wow, they put gay bars next to the Colosseum like that. They're not playing.
Listen,
So
the Romans were doing it. They were dipping and doing it.
the
Okay,
Romans were doing it.
it fits. Checks out.
They were doing it, yes. And funny story, I had a hotel that was not too far from the Vatican. And, I'm always going to open up my social media apps, aka Grinder, when I'm traveling.
As you should.
And around the Vatican, a lot of good things were on there. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huh. So, so since you brought it up, Um,
Okay.
like, what have your experiences been like dating or otherwise around the world?
Mhm. Um, Interesting because I'm gonna give some like tips, but definitely always have your safety at the most important thing ever. Um, for me, if I'm going anywhere, especially solo, if I am opening up whatever social media apps that I'm opening up and I may be meeting someone, I'm more than likely if it's like a hookup or something, I'm going to do it from my hotel. So I'm not I'm not going gallivanting over to somebody's. No, you're gonna come to me where I feel some level of comfort. And that's probably what I do. That's why I'm like sometimes if I'm on a small trip with somebody, and my cousin knows when we're in Italy, we have different hotels. She's like, nope, Philip's gonna do his thing over there. I'm gonna do my thing over here. So yeah, I definitely recommend being in a space that you feel comfortable. And for me, I feel comfortable in a hotel because I'm like, at least there's gonna be a concierge, somebody at the front desk. There's some level of protection, but some people, not myself, some people just do all kinds of things, and I'm like, no, I like to be safe
Yeah.
first. But yeah, I definitely recommend um, either like moving, like on Hinge, you can actually move your location to the place that you're going to visit ahead of time. So you can start your swiping ahead of time. That's always a good thing. And, maybe ask people for tips with traveling or um, what the neighborhood is like there, what bars you should go to. But then, yeah, if once you get there, you land, open up those apps and start communicating right away, so you can, you know, kind of see what the local culture is of wherever you're at.
Have you been hit on like in the wild, or have you hit on anyone in real life?
In the wild, I would, yes. Well, and it's more subtle, not like hit on, but it's been more subtle. I would say for me, my dating in like Dallas like has been very complicated. Complicated in the fact that it's like I don't know whether somebody's interested or not a lot of times. But when I go to Europe, and Europe specifically, or even London, it's kind of like, and I know this sounds bad, but it's kind of like you're exotic. Um,
I've found this to be true as well. I tell people all the
yes,
time on my channel, when you cross over the waters, your price goes up, okay? Your stock goes
it
up.
does. It does. And I had a friend that told me this a while back. He was like, you only have to be alone in Europe if you want to be. You don't have to be.
Ooh,
And it is 100% true.
okay, interesting.
So, if you're not having a good time dating here, get on a plane and
Get on the
go
plane.
somewhere and explore.
But is it dating and relationships that you can get, or is it more of just like hookups?
Um, well, it's funny because I have met some really great people. It just hasn't been something that turned into long term. I think also with me having a full-time job and only being somewhere for a limited amount of time, you don't really get to be there long enough to explore like dating. So
Hmm.
it may be more short term, but now that I have gallivanted around enough, I know for me, like, I know I need to focus my attention on the UK and Europe, and spend some time there and actually like make some longer connections, I would say. And I have
Oh,
no doubt that with give me 3 months in one spot, we would definitely have some more longer term connections.
I agree. I would agree.
Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned safety tips. So I didn't have to ask about that. Love it. What kind of considerations do you take into account when you are, sorry, I'm reading the comment. Not for science. Um, what kind of considerations do you take into account when you're looking for a country to visit? Is it just somewhere maybe it's on your list? Like, do you have a bucket list, or is it just kind of like you'll go where the deals are? How do you usually choose a country?
That's so funny. Yeah, I think before it was always who had the flight deal. And I'm like, oh, if there's a deal, I'm taking it and I'm going. And so that has actually helped me see a lot of the world because like that flight to Australia was like $800 round trip. So I was like, there's no
Nice.
reason for me not to buy that flight and go. Like I know that that's far. It's my first solo trip, but I was like, why not? Why not? So yeah, I very much, and it's funny because I also feel like it's something that I would have manifested. Like Australia seems so far off, but I'm like, oh yeah, I would have totally gone to Australia, even if the flight wasn't on sale.
Mm.
But yeah, a lot of flight deals, and then a lot of I just kind of use my intuition and guidance. I'm like, you know what? It feels like it's time to go. A couple of years ago, I went when I was getting ready to turn 40. I was like, I'm going to the south of France. And so I went and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna invite Bianca, which you've had on your channel before. I was like, girl, I'm turning 40 and I'm going to the south of France. And I just made it happen. So,
Yeah, we love it. I feel like whenever you set your intentions, the universe rises to meet you. So I believe that. Um,
It really does.
but speaking of chasing flight deals, do you have any tips for finding affordable flights and accommodations?
Yeah, actually, I am subscribed to, it used to be Scott's Cheap Flights, but I think it's now called Going. And I think it's like maybe 30 or $50 a year. And it sends me an email of whatever's on sale that day. Like it's almost like a daily email. I do that, and then I also use Google Flights. And sometimes for me, like if I have like I'm planning trips now. If I don't have to be somewhere at a specific time, I want to go off peak and I can kind of just let Google determine when's going to be the best time to get me there. So if you can be flexible with your schedule, you can actually save quite a bit of money. And for me, like I love Europe so much, but I very rarely will go to Europe in the summer because it's just going to be astronomical
Terrible.
prices to go during the summer.
Terrible. I hated
I know.
it. Hated it.
We
Um,
don't like to overpay.
I hated it. I don't like to overpay, but I also don't like people. Um, and everybody in Europe goes to like places like Spain, and I was in Spain in the summer, and I was like, oh my God, people everywhere. There's
Yeah, no, I'm an
Americans.
off-peak person. Like, I want to hang with the locals. I don't want to just hang with a bunch of tourists.
Yes, yes. Um, so since you've been to so many countries, let's have you rate them a little bit.
Oh, okay, this
Best,
is a fun
yes.
game.
Best food.
Oh, mm, that is a tough question because ooh, I would say, can I give like top three?
Sure.
Okay, I would say throw Thailand in there just because
I
I
knew it
love
was gonna
Thai
make the.
food.
I knew Thailand would make the list. I knew it.
Thailand is definitely going to make the list. Um, for me, and I know this is not for everybody, but France just has to go in there. Um,
Yes.
France, yeah, it just has to go in there. Plus, I remember going to Versailles with actually Amanda, who's in the chat, and we went to a random like restaurant, and it happened to be a French Top Chef um, contestant that owned his own restaurant, and we sat at the chef's table, and that man cooked us an amazing meal that night. So yeah, France is going up there.
People who turn their nose up at French cuisine, I don't know what y'all be eating because I have
Yeah.
accidentally wandered into places in France and found
hmm
like gourmet quality food, like delicious food
And it's not always expensive at all.
at all. And it's
Yeah,
like
I'm so
simple.
confused. Yeah.
Simple stuff. I'm like, what is this? Maybe, you know what? Part of it is because in the US we're eating like, plastic and whatever else. But like when you go to
Chemically.
France,
Yeah.
yeah, like everything's like chemically enhanced. But in Europe with the fresh ingredients,
hmm
you could really give me anything. I miss bread. I miss like going
Oh,
to the
the bread.
baker and getting
Oh,
bread.
yeah. No, I love it. I'm sorry. I'm one of those cliche, give me the French food, French man,
Yes.
give it all to me. Yeah. No, I love it.
Especially the French man. Yes, Esther. Yes, the
hmm
Frenchman too. Yes.
Yes.
Whereabouts in
And then
Thailand did you visit?
So Bangkok was the big city that we flew into, and then we did probably I think it was 4 or 5 days on the island of Koh Samui, and I absolutely loved Koh Samui. Bangkok, like it's a big city, a lot going on. The red light district if is very LGBTQ plus friendly in Bangkok. But yeah, if you want to just rest and have some luxury, Koh Samui was amazing and super affordable.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to pick a third. You said you had three.
Um, you know what? I'm gonna go with Spain. I'm gonna go with Barcelona. The food there was great.
All right.
I loved it.
Paellas.
Yes.
Paellas.
The paella, and I
Paella.
love the um. What's the potato quiche thing?
Oh, the patatas something. The
Yeah, patatas bravas, and then yeah, like all of it. I love the tapas in Spain. Like that's one of those. I love Barcelona because we would walk, eat, and it's just it's amazing.
then
So
all of a sudden like the day is gone and you're like, it's time for a nap. Like,
I know, and
I
they're gonna
love it.
stay up very late.
Yes. I love it. I love it. What about the
Yeah.
worst? Croquetas. No,
Oh,
croquetas is.
I love the croquetas too. Yes.
I do like the croquetas. Gnocchi is
Hmm.
Italian. Not y'all just listing food in the chat. I'm
Oh,
hungry.
you know what? I'm sorry. I have to say Italy too because like that's my baby. Italy is my baby. So like yeah, yeah, you're thank you for saying that.
But I've heard that like people get surprised when they go to Italy because the Italian food there is like richer.
Hmm.
If that makes sense, like the noodles are denser than they are in the
Yeah.
US and the food can be a little bit heavier.
It is, but surprisingly, whatever Italian food I'm getting in the US bloats me and gives
Oh,
me acid reflux. And I was fully prepared with my Pepsid AC because I'm like anything with lemon, tomatoes gives me acid reflux. I never had to take Pepsid AC in Italy one time. So
see.
kudos to them for having no pesticides and chemicals in the Italian food. I have to give it to them. Their food's amazing. It may be heavier, but I didn't have any bloating or any gastro issues whatsoever in Italy. So
Yeah. I had that
yeah,
experience too. Like when I came back to the US, I started to have a lot of gut issues and also like skin problems. Just like
yeah,
even when I was trying to like buy organic and cook more at home, I was still like having these like
yeah.
eczema flares, which
Mm.
in Europe never happened. Never happened. Never
Yeah,
happened.
no, that's people know this. I'm gonna end up probably living in Europe very, very soon or later on. And I'm gonna be so happy. My gut is gonna be so happy
Yeah.
because I won't have the same gastro issues here in the US. It's tough. It's tough. You can try to eat organic all you want, but you are still gonna bloat and still gonna have some issues.
Yeah.
So
Just have to stop eating is the that's the thing.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
where would you say the worst food has been? Where you're like,
Oh
yuck, everything I
gosh.
eat here is terrible.
Mm, I'm gonna get in trouble. And it's a city that I love. Yeah, London, my London, my British food. But I will tell you, I have learned what to eat in London. I eat the Indian food, I eat
Yeah.
the Chinese food, I eat the Korean food, and what the British do amazingly is afternoon tea. That's what they should stick to. The afternoon tea is spectacular.
They
It's
can make
spectacular.
tea. Let them
Yes.
make tea.
Well, and even the food that comes with the afternoon tea, I absolutely love.
The no lies were told. Like, I don't
I
know. I don't
mean,
know. Listen, Esther, listen, put us on game, Esther. Okay, tell us where
please
to eat.
tell me
We
what
said
specific British restaurants to go to.
because
Please, please.
in my
I need a
experience
list.
as well, you go where there's a little bit of melanin. Okay, go where the coloreds are.
Correct.
I need somebody with an
Correct.
ethnic background. to feed me.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah. Now, I have had the Sunday roast, and I will give them the Sunday roast. That is probably the best British meal is a Sunday roast. I will give them that. Yeah.
Okay. But you can't
But
eat
yeah,
meat every
Esther, if you
day.
have a list, I want it. I mean, I absolutely love London, and there are like trendy places to go, but I just with the British cuisine, like sometimes it hasn't been seasoned. So I just I need to know where to go.
Harasani says the afternoon tea food was the best meal I had in London. Girl.
Correct. And I agree with her. The afternoon tea is it's what they do best.
The little snacks, y'all are a mess. Like the little finger food. That's what y'all talking.
Yeah. I
Oh,
actually went to a
Caribbean.
Michelin starred afternoon tea for my birthday last year with my friend Lisa. So there are some good afternoon teas there. So I can give you a list.
Oh. Esther,
Yeah.
yes, take us to the ends, okay? Take us to Brixton. Caribbean, we said ethnic.
Okay, now see that's where I'm like the next London trip I'm gonna hit you up, Esther.
Yes. Not British food, right? But like, yes, Caribbean food. Take us where
Caribbean
the
food, yes.
yes. So keep the hot sauce in your bag. I brought Tony's with me. Tony Chachere's. I had some, and I brought it with me. Um,
Sometimes you have to, yeah.
yeah, you just gotta bust it out every now and then.
Yeah.
So, well, first I'll ask the question. Do you go
hmm
outside at night? Are you a
hmm
clubber? Like you be partaking in the night scene?
I do. I do, and I have.
Or it's just like
I
AA?
would say, yeah. Um, trying to think. Oh, the first time that I did this, like on my own solo, and I still to this day call this one of my top trips. It was when I went to Iceland.
Ooh,
Yes. So for those of you, I say both female LGBTQ plus, if you are going to go on a solo trip, I highly recommend you go to Iceland. It is one of the safest places. It's amazing. And yes, I went clubbing and I stayed out till 5 a.m. Um, yeah,
okay.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So they have a what
Um,
makes it a good night scene? Like what is the criteria that we're judging this off of?
well, for me, Iceland was not really clubby clubbing. It was more of like bars and socializing. Um, funny thing, like I was out taking pictures and I met this girl from New York. There was like a major music festival going on in Iceland and it was for the summer solstice. So like the sun was up for like 24 hours.
Okay.
And I remember meeting this girl from New York and she was like, you need to come with me to speed dating. And I was like, what? Here? And she's like, yeah, my hostel is hosting speed dating. And my crazy self followed her, and I had no idea who she was. But we ended up having so much fun doing speed dating, and I was just like, I thought I'm like, oh, I have to announce that, like, y'all know I'm gay. Like, I don't have to, if this is for straight people or whatever. And they were like, no, sit down, sit down. And so it was just cool going through the rounds of speed dating.
I love
And
that.
yeah, it's so funny. I ended up seeing a very handsome gentleman in a suit that was in the bar, and I happened to follow him to I think there's only one gay bar in Reykjavik. And people probably, if you've been there, you know which one it is. And I followed him to this bar, and yeah, I was on a mission to meet him, and I did. Um, but yeah, it was interesting. He was definitely into the drag queen scene. So I was just like, yeah, we may not be a match. But I still follow him on Facebook, so like,
Ooh, I
I
have
still see what
follow-up questions that I don't want to
you
ask
can.
on camera. Like, I don't know.
Okay. Well, and it's so funny that I was chasing after him, and then I ended up following Lena. Her name was Lena. And she was like, "You've met a man. It's time for me to meet a man." She's like, "Let's go to a straight bar." And we go to a straight bar, and I still end up picking up a man. And that's how I ended up staying out till 5 o'clock in the morning.
In the
And had no idea
streets.
that this person may or may not have liked me or not. But we did stay out till 5 a.m., so maybe he did like me. I don't know.
I love it. That sounds like a time. A time was
It
had.
was so much fun. And I had a tour for like 7 a.m.
Did
So
you
imagine
go?
me the next morning
Did you go?
having to get myself together with only like maybe an hour of sleep. But we made it. We made
We made it.
it.
Oh, I love that. And you know, they say that Iceland is like one of the safest, like most progressive countries in Europe.
Yeah.
So I love that.
It's
Wow.
it's amazing. You don't even have to worry about them snatching your wallet, anything like that. Because there's a lot of places in Europe where there are wallet snatchers. I hate to say it, and phone snatchers. But Iceland, you do not have to worry. Like I remember we went to the beach and I like left my stuff and there was like a lady there. She was like, "You do not have to worry about your stuff in Iceland." She's like, "Leave that stuff and go have fun." I was like, "All right, cool."
I like it. I love a safe environment. What?
So
So
highly
otherwise,
recommend that. If you need to do a solo trip, definitely go to Iceland. I think it's an incredible place too. And
yes.
it's
And you
otherworldly as well.
really,
hmm Yeah, we went to some places where I thought, I feel like I'm on the moon. Like it was
really?
incredible. They have black sand beaches. The waterfalls are incredible. We went to this like crater place, and seriously, I thought I was walking on the moon. It was beautiful.
Oh, that sounds phenomenal. Um,
Yeah, so definitely go to Iceland.
I'm gonna add Iceland. Iceland was not on my list. I need to add it on my
It was not on
list.
my list either. I actually paired it with Ireland. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh no,
it's
Ireland
two.
is my spot.
Yeah,
Oh,
a lot of good
you know,
things happen in Ireland.
what kind of things happened in
I
Ireland?
have a friend. I have a friend that lives in Ireland, so I was going to meet her there, and yeah, I would definitely say if you are a Black American, open up your dating apps in Ireland
Oh
as
yeah.
well. That is another good spot where they are looking
I
for you.
love an Irish and a Scottish man. I don't know what. I didn't even realize. It's like new achievement unlocked. Like they weren't even on my
Mhm.
radar. I remember I
Me
was
either.
flying back. I was flying through London and there was this Scottish man. I was flying with my so I travel with my dogs and one of them was in cargo, the other one was in cabin with me. And so like, going through the security, he has to get out of the bag and kind of like go up to the guy and he scans it, whatever. So I let
Yeah.
him out and I'm going through the machine and he picks up my dog. He picks up my dog and he's like, "Oh, I'll help you out. I'm not gonna do the accent." But I was immediately like, "Ooh!"
Uh-huh.
And you like my baby? Like, and my dog
Oh.
is just like
Yeah.
my dog is just like turning over in his big, burly, muscular arms and full beard. Like that, I was like, "This is my type. This is my
Yes.
type." And he was so
hmm
friendly. He invited me to have a drink, but I had places to be. But I do think about that moment one day. I'm like, oh, that could have been y'all
I
daddy. That could
do.
have been y'all's daddy.
I know.
I
Yeah,
love
I
Irish
mean,
men.
I think it's definitely an unexpected surprise because I was
Yes.
like, I didn't know they were looking for us like that out there. But I would say definitely if you haven't been to Galway, that is
Yes.
where my dating apps were popping off. Galway. So Galway is a college town, and it's on the water. It's really pretty. But yeah, definitely get yourself to Ireland. There's so many
Yes.
spots to explore. Yeah.
I promise you, I did not prompt Philip into saying this. I feel like almost every live I do like a shameless plug for Ireland. Like it's really
I know. It's great.
they're really the nicest people as well. Like not even like
They
outside of
are.
dating, the amount of people who would like just stop and help me. Oh, you're looking for lunch? Well, what are you in the mood for? Well, I can
Yeah.
list like three places. Well, let me just take you. If it's around the corner, I'll just take you. That happens to me
Yeah.
so many times where like if I was lost and looking for something, like they're just, oh, I'll go with you. Oh, I'm not doing anything. Let me just stop what I'm doing and walk you. Loved it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's great. And
I know.
I learned a little bit from my friend that it's very LGBTQ plus friendly because like they've had legislation for gay marriage. And it's so interesting because you would think with the Irish Catholic history, but no, they're good with gay marriage, and so I'm like, I am really proud of Ireland. And um, funny enough, I do have Irish in my DNA, so I find that that may be why I also am drawn and love that place so much as well.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Perhaps,
Maybe you need an Irishman in your life.
yeah, I would not be opposed to that whatsoever.
But we talked
Time for
about
me to book another flight.
we talked about the UK and we mentioned London, but you've also been to Brighton. And I went to
Hmm,
Brighton last June, and there I was
mhm.
surprised. There's like a huge gay population in Brighton. I didn't know that.
There is.
Did you
Yeah,
go for
I had really, it was funny because I was going to London for my birthday, but I was like, you need to like do something, explore because you've been here so much, like you need to do something different because I literally can just stay in London and just have the time of my life. But I was like, no, you need to take like one day to go explore. And I was like, well, I would like to see a beach. I'm like, is there a beach in the UK? And surprisingly, Brighton was like only an hour, maybe an hour and a half train ride to Brighton, and I learned so much. It's they have a huge Pride festival, so I definitely want to go back to get to one of those. But yeah, super gay friendly. It's an amazing beach city, and surprisingly, it's warmer than London. Um, and we happened to see a lot of sun that day, so it was cool. I did a tour because I was by myself, and I loved it. I was like, you know what? If I didn't live in London, I could go live in Brighton because I love the water. I'm a water
yeah.
person as well. But yeah, I loved it. I enjoyed learning the history of it, and I think it's another place to explore if you are looking for, somewhere LGBTQ plus friendly.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. Um,
Yeah.
has there ever been a country that has surprised you, either good or bad, but just like, oh, I didn't know this place was like this.
Let's see. I mean, Ireland was surprising to me.
Mm,
Um, I was surprised at how much I loved Singapore, and I was only there for like maybe one night and a day. I did love Singapore, but Singapore is also another one of those places where it's the legislation is against me
mm,
being gay, so definitely be careful. But like their rules are so interesting because like don't bring a CBD gummy with you to Singapore because you will go to jail. So I remember having to throw my melatonin CBD gummies away because I was like, I'm so glad I read that before I got on the plane. But as far as like people being super friendly, it was a great place. And I
Hmm,
loved the food too, so
I love that. Um,
yeah.
what has travel taught you about yourself?
Oh my gosh, it has taught me so much. I feel like I learn the most about myself by traveling solo. And
Mm,
so for me, number one, it teaches you that you can do this. Like it gives you a level of confidence that you didn't know that you had. Um, and my friends know me very much. Like if I'm ever in that like space of like I'm in Dallas and just like feeling unsure, not feeling like myself, I will go hop a flight to Europe and get that love and adornment on me and just start feeling like myself. Like I can always go to Italy and
mm,
have a great time and I come back and I feel like I'm on top of the world. So that's sad to say the environment where you live can have such an effect on you, but this is that this is that space where we can talk about, hey, America is hard. If
yeah.
you are black and if you are gay and you're working in corporate America, this is a hard space to be. It's hard in the fact of like when I was in the closet, always having to deny who I really truly was. And so for me, that's just not anything that I ever want to deal with again. Like I got my freedom and I just feel so much like myself again.
Mm,
So yeah, I don't ever want to go back in the closet and I'm not going to. So
yeah, you shouldn't have to. That's beautiful.
yeah.
So, if anybody is new here, that question is the beginning of me wrapping up the interview. So, if you have any questions that you want to ask Philip on this conversation, because obviously I
Yeah.
feel like we need to bring him back because this is a great chat and you've been to so many places.
I
But if
know. Yeah, when you said 20 countries, I was like, have I? And it's like, I have.
but if you guys have any questions, put a Q in front of your question. Now is the time to ask. So
Please do.
if you could recommend one country, like to any person watching this right now, what country would that be? Like you have to
In
go
terms,
here.
you have to go here.
You have to
I mean,
experience this culture.
honestly, I would say it needs to be Italy. And I know that some black people have had bad experiences. If you've had a bad experience, I wish that I could like hit me up. I wish that I can come with you because I just haven't had a bad experience.
Hmm.
Um, the people that I've encountered have been so welcoming, so sweet, so loving. And I've been to like I very rarely repeat places, but I seem to only repeat places that I love, like London. I've been to France twice, and I've been to Italy twice. So I would say definitely give it a shot. Go maybe in the off season. I haven't been to Italy in the summer, so maybe I would have a different judgment if I had gone in the summer. But I think the last two trips we went in November, and it just seems to be a great time. It's less crowded, and like I said, I've always had that warm, fuzzy feeling from the Italians, and I'm like. I honestly could see myself like moving to Florence as well. Like
Hmm.
I could see myself getting like a house in Tuscany. That's how much I love it. I may not be there full time, but I'm like I would love to have me a house in Tuscany. So,
I would love that for you. I would love that for me because then I could have somewhere to go.
absolutely,
Did you
absolutely. So
visit the
yeah,
Palace of Versailles when you were? Wait, that's France. I'm reading
Yes,
back.
I did.
I'm reading the questions to see if I missed anything.
Yeah. Yes. So that day that I ended up going to a restaurant where the guy was from Top Chef. We went to visit the Palace of Versailles, and I absolutely loved the garden. And another thing about me, my little nerdy stuff is I love castles. So that's why I'm like Ireland and all these different places. I am gonna find myself a castle. It's guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I love kind of like royal stuff, and I'm a history buff, so absolutely, the Palace of Versailles was so much fun for me to see.
I love it. I feel like Europe does that really well. The castles, the museums.
They
Oh,
do.
it's because
They
everything is so old there.
hmm
Like
It is.
we're
It is very
like the
old.
US is still a very young country. So we don't
hmm
have even the architecture.
Oh my God, like Spain. Barcelona, it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
I
very
just loved
beautiful
walking
city.
around and looking at all the buildings.
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous city.
hmm
Ayana is asking what destination is on your bucket list?
So, funny enough, I had been thinking about this, and when I was reviewing all the places that I have been, Japan is the next horizon that I'm ready to go visit. So that I have to go to Japan.
You're
I,
gonna
I
fall in
think
love with
it's
Japan.
everyone tells
You
me
are.
that. So I'm like, let me go see what it's all about. And I feel like myself as a visionary and creative, I know that creatives have so much inspiration when they go visit Japan. So I'm super excited. I hope that I can make that happen in 2025. So stay tuned.
Ooh, I would love that. Oh, did he freeze?
Oh,
Oh,
it did.
well, this is a great time for me to tell you guys to like the video. Should I sing a song? I can hear you, but oh, and we've lost him. All right. Ayana says, I want to go with you. Listen, y'all could plan a trip to Japan this year. That would be fun. Japan is also on my bucket list. Not me by myself. You guys, I've said this before here on the Awkward Black Nomad channel. It's a little ghetto. So here he is again. I'll bring him back up. Hi.
Okay. I have no idea what happened, but
It's okay.
I'm
It
back.
is okay. Izzy is asking, would you ever consider visiting Antarctica?
Okay, that would be something I would consider only because I'm looking at all the continents that I've visited, and for me to visit all the continents, I'd have to go to Antarctica. So
Okay.
I feel like I feel like it's gonna happen.
But that gave no. That gave no. It's not even on the
Well,
list.
no,
That
it's not a
answer.
no, it's a maybe. It's a maybe because I'm like, well, what if I do want to finish that checklist of saying I've been to all the continents? So it's like, yeah, it's a maybe.
Okay.
Or you know what? If someone invites me, Izzy, let's do it.
Listen. Do you think you would ever relocate permanently? And if so, which country would you choose?
Oh, that is such a big question for me because I feel like it will be in Europe. I feel like it'll be in Europe. For me, I love the UK. I think that that would be a great place. Another place that I love that I haven't talked much about is Amsterdam as well, the Netherlands. Another gay-friendly country. It's great. I loved Amsterdam. And then of course Spain and France. Those are almost tied.
Okay, now I have a question about Amsterdam. So, like,
hmm
if you're somebody who I don't know. Like, I feel like the reason why people like Amsterdam is because they want to just participate in debauchery. If you're just somebody who's like real chill, if you're
Hmm.
not trying to like get like hook up, if you're not trying to like partake in the, if you're not trying to, could you
Yeah.
just have a chill experience in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
When I went, I mean, I didn't partake in any of that stuff, and I had an amazing time. I actually went to a concert. I went to see Little Mix there, so I got to like
How
have the like
cute.
local experience. I know, I love Little Mix. They're one of my favorite. I wish they were still together, but I'm glad I got to see them in Amsterdam. So yeah, no, I felt like I had a very normal like experience in Amsterdam. And I also do love that they do give people the freedom to do those things. But yeah, you don't have to partake. Like, no, it's still a great place.
I don't know. I've heard the only reason I asked that is because I heard someone go and they were like, it's like you're walking down the street,
Hmm.
titties, right? Like you're just like hanging out, trying to have a normal day. You look to your left, somebody naked. Like, are those the vibes? Are
Those
those the
experiences can happen. Those experiences can happen.
Esther is asking for recommendations for Amsterdam. She's going next month. Do you have any or you
Yeah,
remember?
I'm trying to think. So, definitely try to find um, accommodations near the train station because it's a easy city to get around. Even if you don't stay in central Amsterdam, just stay around a train line that can get you to central Amsterdam. Um, Definitely, I loved going to the Anne Frank Museum. It's very somber. I think my generation, we read Anne Frank's diary, so seeing
Yeah.
that in person, and I remember reading those stories. It was definitely something to see in person. It was very emotional. It made me cry, honestly. So that was a good experience. And then there's great museums there, so definitely check out the museums. Also get you the Dutch pancakes. Those are
Love
amazing.
it. I
Yes,
love
the
the
Dutch
Dutch
pancakes are
pancakes.
good. And find a beer garden to go to. I think there was a beer garden near where I stayed, and kind of hang with the locals. And yeah, I think it'll be a good experience. Now, you will get run over by a bicycle, so just make sure you're paying attention when you're walking around, because it is a biking kind of city, and you need to pay attention or you will get run
Not run over. That sounds like Denmark. I was like, where are y'all going? Like, they're
over.
racing past you. Where are y'all trying
Yeah,
to
no,
go
and they
on a
have
bike?
priority. Over cars, the bikes have priority.
Oh, scary.
Yeah, so definitely go and have a good time.
Amsterdam is amazing for those of us who don't participate in debauchery. Listen,
Oh
I
yeah.
have.
Yep.
Okay, I don't want to be all out there carrying around. Um, Unrelated but kind of related in a weird
Hmm.
way. I saw this movie with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin called A Real Pain, where they basically go to Poland to see where their grandmother who survived the Holocaust lived, and it's a
Hmm.
phenomenal film, by the way. Like,
Oh
and
wow.
it
Okay.
also they do a really good job of showing like the experience of Europe as a tourist because it's like you're in this
Mm.
beautiful city, you're like meeting with people who are like in the community and you're getting like these like bursts of culture and history and at the same
Hmm.
time like going through your own motions as an American. It was a really good film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely will check that out. I love films that are centered around travel or a location. So
Yeah. Well, Philip, I enjoyed you. I didn't took all of your little time today. I appreciate you staying on the line and
no,
chatting
this
with
was
me.
fun. I mean, I could talk about travel all day. So this is yeah, definitely something that I love. So thank you for having me. This is great.
No, thank you for coming and being so open and honest and sharing your story with me. And,
Yeah.
everybody who watching us, everybody who's gonna watch the replay,
Mhm.
like the video, drop down in the comments and tell me what you thought about this discussion. As always, if you are not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, click the notification button so you are notified when I go live. I think we did a thing. We did a thing. We had a beautiful
Yeah,
conversation. I enjoyed
we did.
you. We have to
Mhm.
connect in real life. There's no reason why we're in the same city and we ain't read each other.
Yeah, it's like I had no idea we were in the same city. So yeah, let's make that happen.
Let's make that happen. That would require me leaving my house, which I don't do often. But
Okay.
if we have a structured visit, we can do that.
Yes,
But
we
yes,
can do that. I'm good with that. I
and
won't
the
take you
people
to
are
the club.
asking, please don't take me to the club. I don't want to get snatched up by somebody's patchy beard son. Angela is saying, come back again.
I
Yes.
will. I will.
Yes.
Yeah. We've got
All
more to get
right.
into. Yeah.
Yes, I think this was a great start to integrate men onto the channel. I think you did a
Oh, well,
very
thank you. I'm very honored to be the first man on the channel. So, thank you. I hope it inspires somebody. So,
Yes, I hope so too. And I enjoyed you again. Thank you so much for coming. And peace out, y'all. Bye. Thank you for
bye
watching.
everyone. Bye.